I'm really excited to read this. The New York Times book review says, a fine horror story. Those dicks. Greetings, readers, and welcome back to Reading in the Dark. I'm so excited. Are we shocked I'm taking part in a spooky readathon? No, we're not. This video is going to be my TBR for Spookathon 2019. Spookathon is hosted by Lala from BooksAndLala from October 14th through the 20th. And there are 5 challenges. I had an amazing time last year with Spookathon, probably because I love reading scary, spooky things. Halloween is my favorite holiday. October is my birth month, etc., etc. I read Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. I reread the Scary Stories books with the original illustrations. I think I maybe read Heartbreaker by Claudia Day for Spookathon, which is a little odd, but it was really good. What else did I read? We're gonna have to check. Which I can do now, because I can have my phone in my hand whilst filming now, because I have a camera. What? Upgrade. Yeah, okay, so last year for Spookathon, okay, I finally figured it out. I read The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, Heartbreaker by Claudia Day, Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad, Slade House by David Mitchell, and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, more Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and Scary Stories 3. So I actually read technically 7 books for Spookathon last year, which is amazing. 3 of them were very short, middle grade books, but you know what? I counted it. So I've told you when the readathon is, I've told you who's hosting it, but I haven't told you what the challenges are for this year. So here they are. There are 5 challenges. The first is to read a thriller. She said she started originally to encourage more people to read thrillers because a lot of people on BookTube weren't reading them. So the first challenge is always to read a thriller. And this year I am deciding to read a new purchase, Water Shall Refuse Them by Lucie, McKnight, Hardy. And I don't remember what it's about, so I'm going to look it up because I once again have the power to do this. Water Shall Refuse Them. The heat wave of 1976. Following the accidental drowning of her sister, 16-year-old Nif and her family moved to a small village on the Welsh borders to escape their grief. But rural seclusion doesn't bring any relief. As her family unravels, Nif begins to put together her own form of witchcraft, collecting talismans from the sun-starved land. That is, until she meets Mally, a teen boy who takes a keen interest in her and has his own secret rites to divulge. Reminiscent of the suspense of Shirley Jackson and soaked in the folk horror of the British landscape, Water Shall Refuse Them is an atmospheric, coming-of-age novel and a thrilling debut. So that sounds awesome to me. I know that I follow several people who recently read this, and I can't remember who they are, but I bought it when I was watching their videos, which I sometimes do, which is the problem, and I'm gonna read it. I think it's fun to buy books and read them immediately. So the next challenge is to read something with red on the cover. Okay, so for the next 4 challenges, I have books picked out that were given to me as gifts for my birthday from my friend Bert. Bert gave me 4 books. He loves horror books as well, and he knows this is my favorite holiday, and he knows I read kind of a lot, so he bought me 4 books for my birthday, had them delivered, and then challenged me to read them by October. So let me go get them so I can show you what they are. And I'm back. So these are the books that I was gifted for my birthday from Bert. We have here Coraline by Neil Gaiman, Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury, Hell House by Richard Matheson, and of course, The Shining by Stephen King. So I was thrown for a loop because I already had my October TBR picked out and I had some ideas for these challenges for Spookathon already when he gave these to me. And then I thought, I mean, it's really lame if I'm like the friend who's always reading and my friend buys me books and challenges me to read 4 books in a month, which is not a big deal, and I like don't do it. So I was like, I have to make this happen. So I have sort of redone my TBR for this readathon a little bit, and I have integrated all 4 of these into my Spookathon TBR, and they're all perfect anyway. So the book I'm going to read with red on the cover, really there's 2 of them here, but the one I have assigned to this challenge is Hell House by Richard Matheson. Now this book sounds very interesting, and I have heard that it is truly horrifying. Stephen King says about this book, and I mentioned this in my vlog that's coming soon, Hell House is the scariest haunted house novel ever written. It looms over the rest the way the mountains loom over the foothills. Stephen King. So, okay. Also, it's got this amazing photo of like, what is that, like a Grim Reaper situation? Yep. For over 20 years, Belasco House has stood empty. Regarded as the Mount Everest of haunted houses, it is a venerable mansion whose shadowed walls have witnessed scenes of almost unimaginable horror and depravity. 2 previous expeditions to investigate its secrets met with disaster, the participants destroyed by murder, suicide, or insanity. Okay, we're already doing really well. Now, a new investigation has been mounted, bringing 4 strangers to the forbidding mansion, determined to probe Belasco House for the ultimate secrets of life and death. Each has his or her own reason for daring the unknown, torments and temptations of the mansion, but can any soul survive what lurks within the most haunted house on Earth? Question mark. Yes, so that sounds awesome. It is not super long. Let's see. It is a trade paperback at 301 pages, which is like totally doable. The writing isn't too totally small. I'm really excited to read this. The New York Times book review says, a fine horror story. Stephen King just said this was the scariest haunted house story, and then the New York Times book review is like, as a fine horror story. Those dicks. So the third challenge says to read a book with a spooky word in the title, and for that I have chosen Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. I don't know anything about this book. All I know is that it's a classic, and the blurb says, for those who still dream and remember, for those yet to experience the hypnotic power of its dark poetry, step inside. The show is about to begin. That's right. This is set in a circus, I think. Cougar and Dark's Pandemonium Shadow Show has come to Greentown, Illinois, to destroy every life touched by its strange and sinister mystery. Great. The carnival rolls in sometime after midnight, ushering in Halloween a week early. The carnival rolls in... Oh, I just read that. Well done. A calliope's shrill siren song beckons to all with a seductive promise of dreams and youth regained. 2 boys will discover the secret of its smoke, mazes, and mirrors, who will soon know all too well the heavy cost of wishes and the stuff of nightmares. I don't know anything about this book except what I just read. I've heard of it, of course. I've heard the title for a long time. I think, is that from Shakespeare? I think. This is also not long. This is what the writing looks like. 303 pages long. So that should be an easy read. And I'm excited to read a classic. I've never read Ray Bradbury, actually. So I'll get that off my list. The 4th challenge is to read something set in a spooky location. And for this challenge, I have set aside The Shining by Stephen King. This is a very long book. Well, I mean, it's 640 some odd pages in a mass market paperback. So this could be lengthy. It might be difficult for me to get through, but I also might love it. Now, confession, I've never read a Stephen King anything in my life. So I don't know why, because I love the genre that he writes in, and I like a lot of the things that I have read that he has said about writing. In fact, I almost bought his book On Writing by Stephen King, which would be weird having never read his work. And of course I enjoy the movies that I've seen that have been based on his books. So it's not like I know nothing of Stephen King or his style, but I have never read a single word of fiction that he's written. So I'm excited to read The Shining. Finally, I've put this halfway through my list of books to read to ensure that I actually get to it and to give myself theoretically enough time to get through the whole thing. I don't want to put this on the end and not have anywhere near enough time to read it in. I also didn't want to put it at the beginning and get bogged down in it and read nothing but The Shining for the whole Spookathon and not get to anything else. And I have a backup, and that is Big Woods by May Cobb. It's 1989 in the sleepy town of Longview, Texas, when 10-year-old Lucie disappears. Her parents, the police, and the community all brace for the worst, assuming her body will soon be found in Big Woods, just like the other unsolved kidnappings. But then Lucie's 14-year-old sister, Leah, starts having dreams about Lucie, dreams that reveal startling clues as to what happened. Leah begins her own investigation, and soon she meets a reclusive widow who may hold the key to finding Lucie if only she can find the courage to come forward. Delving into the paranoia surrounding satanic cults in the 1980s, Big Woods is an emotionally wrought, propulsive thriller about the enormity of grief, the magical bond between sisters, and the small town's dark secrets. So this has been on my radar for a long time. I got this from... I don't remember. But someone on here, and I will link them below, was talking about this book. It was intriguing to me, so I've had it in my TBR for a long time. So that's my backup for The Shining in case I get really bogged down and I just need a break or whatever. The fifth and final challenge in Spookathon 2019 says to read something you wouldn't normally read. And I have two options for this. But the first one I will definitely read because it's very short. And that is another one of my birthday gifts, and that is Coraline by Neil Gaiman. I'm like fighting with reflections and stuff. Coraline by Neil Gaiman. I didn't know anything about this except that there had been a film made out of it, so let me just read the blurb for this as well. Oh no, that's a blurb. When Coraline steps through a door to find another house strangely similar to her own, only better, things seem marvelous. But there's another mother there, another father, and they want her to stay and be their little girl. They want to change her and never let her go. Coraline will have to fight with all her wits and courage if she is to save herself and return to her ordinary life. So, that's Coraline by Neil Gaiman. I've never read a Gaiman either, so I'm reading my first Stephen King, my first Ray Bradbury, and my first Neil Gaiman, all in one readathon. That's awesome. My backup for this challenge is a really chunky nonfiction book that I forgot to bring out here, so I'm just going to put it on the screen, and that is The Witches by Stacy Schiff. This is a very lengthy and lauded account of the witch pandemonium back in the old colonies. It's, the whole Salem witch trial situation. And let me, I can look up the blurb on my phone because I have a camera. What? So I left that out. The title of the book is actually The Witches, Salem, 1692. Pulitzer Prize winner Stacy Schiff, author of the #1 bestseller Cleopatra, provides an electrifying, fresh view of the Salem witch trials. And I'm not going to go on because that is enough information. So that's what this is. It's a long, chunky book about the Salem witch trials. It's nonfiction. It has a really pretty cover, I think. And it is hardcover, 498 pages. So it's not as chunky as I was thinking, but it's really imposing. I'm going to go get it just so that you'll understand my feelings. So as you can see, this book is kind of imposing. It seems really long, and it seems like really thick. It's got a really cool cover, lots of blurbs on the back. It has a nice texture to the paper. The writing is medium. This could be really difficult to get through, but okay, so the reason I chose Coraline is I read almost no middle grade. The only middle grade I can think of having ever read is the Scary Stories anthology, and I almost never read nonfiction. So those are the books that I have chosen for Spookathon 2019. I'm excited about them. I'm hoping I can get through 5 books. I've given myself some options, but I'm hoping to get through for sure the 4 books that I was given on my birthday, since I was challenged to read them by Halloween. So that's what I'm hoping to do for this readathon. I will be vlogging during, I think I'll be posting every day vlogs, daily vlogs for a Spookathon. I did it last year and it was a lot of fun. So what I need to do now is get my house decorated for Halloween and get like fully spookified and get ready. I'm about to finish The Shape of Night by Tess Gerritsen, which I'm really enjoying. It's very interesting. And then I'm going to crack open The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, my first Ruth Ware. Lots of new to me authors going on. So that's all awesome. I'm super excited about this readathon. As I said, I will be vlogging. I'm repeating myself. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you have any comments or suggestions or thoughts about the books that I have mentioned in this video, please feel free to comment below. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you love this video and you'd like to see more content like this in the future, maybe think about hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already, and then hit that little bell icon and you'll be notified whenever I post new content. I am definitely posting once a week. I'm hoping to keep that pretty consistent. Sometimes I post more than once a week. It's kind of a grab bag situation, but that's my goal right now, is once a week. So please do like and subscribe, and until next time, I will be here in the dark reading.